So hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sanskar, and in this video we will create this beautiful looking food recipe app with React and Firebase. We will be using Admam API and we will be using Firebase to host this application online so that you will get a URL to share with your friends or employer. Now, let me first give you a quick demo of how this app works. So over here you can enter a particular ingredient name that can be apple, banana, I don't know, mango. So let's go with mango, for example. I can search for mango with choosing what kind of recipe I'm looking for. Am I looking for a vegan? Am I looking for fish free, egg free, wheat free, gluten free, and stuff like that? I don't even understand all of them, but if you do, you have those, right? Now, what you need to do is just click on the search button and it will search the different recipes available for that particular ingredient. Now, on each and every of these ingredients, you will be able to click on it and you will be able to see that in detail. Now, of course, we can create a whole detail page as well and show all of those details. But just to make sure I'm teaching you the most important concept, because once we will fetch the details of these, you will have the data to show all of these different ingredients and all as well. So if you do want to make the next page where you want to have all the ingredients inside your app rather than sending them to a URL, you can do that as well. Okay, it's just you have the data, you just have to show it on the screen, which you will learn when we will create this. Okay, so I hope you're excited as I am. So just make sure to hit that like button and yeah, let's begin. So first of all, what I have done is I have created a very new React project. I don't know, very new. What do we mean by very new? But basically, what I did was I typed npx create React app and then type out the name. So I have given this a name of React API 2 because this is a React API project. And once I have created that, I have not done anything. So this is a fresh project. So now what I will do is I will first of all get rid of the things which I don't need. So we are not going to use test, so I'm just going to remove that. We are not going to use logo as well, so I'm just going to delete that. We are not going to use the app.css. Maybe we will, so let's keep that. Going to app.js file, what I will do is I'll remove all the header and just I will have a h1 which will say hello and Sanskar. Okay. Moving on, what I will do is I will run this application so that I can make sure it's working perfectly fine or as expected. Now, if I will do that, it says npm start. It's taking a bit of a time, but I hope it's working. Let's see. It's fetching. Okay, it's setting things up. Okay, so I said npm start. It does not seems to be started. Okay, let's give it a okay. So it's fetching all the different packages. We can give it a time. Let me get rid of that logo. And in the meanwhile, what we will do is we will create an account at admam. So what is admam? Admam is basically the database which have all these recipes. Okay, we are not going to search them and add them to our database one by one. Admam already have a very huge database of different recipes. So what we will do is through their API, we can get all of that data, right? And that is exactly what we are going to do. If you don't understand what an API is basically used to, kind of, it's kind of, how it works is like a URL, but it's not going to show you kind of a whole website, but rather just a data, right? So let me show you an example of API which we are going to use, which is this admem one. So what you should do is, let me show you from the start so that you don't get confused. Just visit admem.com. Then you need to click on API Developer Portal. Once you will click on that, then you will have these options. So I am already signed in, so you need to first sign up. Once you are done with that, click on the documentation and then click on recipe search API. Once you will click on that, you will scroll down a bit and there you will find this URL, https okay, so this is the URL. Now in this URL, if I'll copy it up, okay, it's just a second, copy the URL. I'm going to create a value. I'm going to say variable, and this is the URL. Okay, I'm going to use the backslash and paste it here, and then I'm going to save that. I'm going to get rid of this sidebar. Okay, so you can see this is how the URL looks like. I need to change this with app ID, and I need to change this with app key. Of course, mine. So that's why it's saying your. So how can we get that, and where can we get that? So you need to click on this get API now. And I think, yeah, we can just directly do that. We don't need this page for now. So I have already created it multiple times. I have created this application with Flutter. I have created this application natively, so stuff like that. So now I'm going to click on create new application. That's what you need to do. And then click on recipe search API, because that is the service which we want to use. Now, name and description does not matter a lot, so you can give it whatever you want. I'm giving too much random, but you don't have to. This is just a very test application, so I'm not going to think about it a little bit even. So this is the ID and this is the application key. It's that easy. All you need to do is just click on that, create a new ID, and there we go. So I'm just going to copy that ID. Now, of course, I'm not going to save it directly over here. So what I will do is I'll just create a new file, name it key.js, and over there we will have a constant, and that will be is equals to like that. Okay, what is the variable? Variable is going to be your app ID, like that. Now I'm going to get rid of that and I'm going to go ahead and get this API key. I'll say constant, your API key is equals to, this is the API key. So I'll just get that. So we have this now, right? Now I don't want to define these inside of here, because what I will do once we will upload this data to GitHub, because that's what I use for source control. So what I will do is when I'm pushing this data or my code to GitHub, I'll make sure to add this key.js file in the git ignore, right? So that it does not get published. Now I need to import this. So I'll say import, and then I'll mention /key. Okay. So now I will be able to use these values. Okay. So let me first show you what the data looks like. So let me just copy this up till here. I'm going to go in here. I need to change this your app ID with the key, just for the sake of showing you how it works. So I'm just going to change that. I'm going to change that as well. Okay, that's fine. Now let me just copy that whole line and paste it. So this is initially how it looks like, too much kind of cluttered. So you might not be able to understand it very properly. But there is this extension which is called Json View. You can search for it on Chrome. It's Chrome Web Store. If you will install it and click on it, it will kind of structure the data so that you can see the data much more comfortably. So this is what the data is being returned. The initial query is chicken, so that's what the recipes are for. So you can see this contains all the different recipes. So this is the one recipe, second recipe, third recipe. We can have more, but we have specifically defined here from 0 to 3, right? So that's why it's just providing the 3 recipes. Now you can see inside of that we have this where is it, recipe, and inside of that recipe we have all these different values like label, we have image, we have URL, and we have a lot of data going on, right? So we are just going to focus on label, we will use image, and we will use the URL. Okay, so that's enough of description of how the API is working, what it is returning. Now let's go ahead in the code and see how we can fetch this data inside of a React app. Okay, so how we can do that is we will just, first of all, let's get our variables back, because these values are not going to be, I'm not going to direct define the keys over here. So next, what I will do is I'll create a function. Now I'm going to say constant. You can create it however you want, like this function, then naming the function and that. So for example, I want to create a function to get the data from that API. So I'll name this function get recipes, and that will be fine, right? So over here, what I will do is, first of all, we have the URL. We will be using Axios for this. Okay, so if you don't know about Axios, if you're like kind of coding in native JavaScript, you will use fetch, right? Axios is much a bit better version of it. It has more features. So that's why with React, that's what we are going to use. So first of all, we have to install it. So I'll say npm, or I'm using yarn. So I'm going to say yarn add Axios. Okay, and then I'll hit enter. So we will wait for it to be installed. It will just take a few seconds and it's done. Now, what I will do is I'll create a variable called result. Result is nothing but this is going to have the data, this whole data, which is being returned by the API. So I'll say result is equals to await. I need to first import Axios before I can use that. So I'll say import, and then I'll say, where is it? There we go. Okay, just a second. What did I do? I'll say Axios, okay, and then I'll say from Axios. Then I'll say await. Now, why am I using await here? Well, if you don't understand async await, how it works is there are some processes, there are some functions which are going to take some time to get completed. If you are trying to get the value before they are completed, it will always return null. For example, when you're uploading an image to your database, it is going to take some time to upload that image. So if you have a function where you are instantly asking for the download URL, right, it is not available until unless it's uploaded, it's not available. So every time, if you're not waiting for it to be completed uploading, then asking for URL, if you're asking beforehand, in that case it will always be null, right? So that's the thing. So that's why we have to first make our function asynchronous, then only we can use await. So now I hope you understand the reason why we are using await here is because the process of getting this data through an API is going to take some time. Okay, it's a internet process. If your internet is slow, it's going to take more time. If it's fast, it's going to take less time. But anyway, this way or that, it is going to take some time. Okay, so moving on. With Axios, we have to say axios.get, and there we can provide the URL. Now this is the result which we will be getting. So first, let's see what we are getting, and I'm going to say result.data. Okay, data. Now let me save that. I need to call this function. So when should I call this? I'm just going to create, what should I do? I can create a quick button to call that, or you know what? Let's just include it in the on click of this header. So I'm just going to say get recipes. So what did I did? Whenever someone will click on this H1, I have added an on click that on click, it will call this function. So let's see how this works. Yeah, of course it's not that. So I need to first run this. I need to go over here and I'll say npm start. npm start. This is a completed version, right? This is not this. So I need to say npm start. It will say that it's already running on 3000. So we will run our new one in 3001. So I'll say yes. By the way, for yes, you just have to hit enter, nothing special. So just give it a second or so and it will load. So you can see this, it is saying your app ID is not defined. Okay, let's see what we are doing wrong. So we have this and we have that. You know what, let's just, for the quick process for now, I'm just going to keep it here. Let's not confuse it, because then I will have to show you how to upload the data to GitHub and all this stuff. So I think that this is fine. So you can see we have this my name, which is this header, and we have the function assigned to it. So whenever if I will click on this, it will call this function, which will result in getting a console log. So I need to first see the console logs. So I'll go here and I have this console logs now. I'm going to remove that. And yeah, let me click on this. So you can see, according to this query of ours, which is checking right now, we have this 3 hits. The reason for the 3 hits, because we mentioned specifically we want from 0 to 3. I'm going to remove this because the default value for this is 10. So that is what is going to happen if you don't define how much you want, right? And I'm also going to get rid of this calories, because I'm not going to specifically define from how much calories to how much calories of recipes I want. If you want to add this functionality, then you can. All you need to do is just make these two values variables, so 591 and 722. So let me just quickly remove them. Now, what do we need next? I'm going to make this like kind of a variable so that we can change it through that drop down. But right now what I need is, I'm just going to save this and let's move on to creating the front end, right? First, we will create the whole user interface. So we have this extra padding. You can see this is assigned in the center. We don't want this kind of different styling, which is like kind of already available. I'm just going to get rid of that. And then I will move to index.css. And over there, I will mention specifically that, there is this kind of margin you can see, which has been added by the browser. I'm going to get rid of that. So I will set margin to be 0 pixel and padding to be 0 pixel as well. Okay. So once I will do that, you can see it's kind of aligned like that. So the next step now is to call this. So what I am going to do is, I need to create this, right? So I will say food recipes plaza. It's just a text. So I'm just going to change that quick. I'm going to make that a paragraph because I think that's what it is there. So yeah, a paragraph. I think it's a H1. Let me just change that quick. What happened? H1. Okay, I'm going to make this H1 as well. So once that is done, you can see this is how it looks like. I want this in the center. So what I will do is, I will make this class name to a smaller one, which is like this app. And then I will go to my app.css. Over there, I'll say app, and inside of that, I'll say display. flex, and then I'll say justify content center, and then I'll say align items center. So whenever I wanted to have multiple items aligned either horizontally or vertically, and I want them to be in the center kind of stuff, then I just do this display flex, which will make sure that they are aligned one after the other. And then we have justify content center, which will get this in the center. This align items, what it does is, if you have two elements, then they will be at the exact same line, okay, in the like aligned. So yeah, so let me show you with an example. So now I will be adding this input and this drop down, so you will be able to see much better why and where we use align items. So just below this h1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a form. So it's going to be called form, and inside of that, what I'll do is I'll provide a class first of all. So I'll say class name, and the class name is going to be app underscore yeah, search form. Okay, so this is basically BEM name convention. That's what I'm using. You can provide it whatever class name you want. It's just a preference which I'm going for. Now we have a form, and inside of that I want an input. Now the first input is actually going to be of type text, because this is input where we are accepting the text or accepting the ingredient name, right? So I'm going to say the type is to be text. Then I'll say placeholder. So the placeholder is going to be enter ingredient. Placeholder is nothing but it's just the hint text. So if I will remove this text which is written, you can see this is a hint text written, so that the person or as a user we can understand what we are supposed to write over here. So I'm going to just provide that this is the placeholder. And the next thing is going to be the value. So value is not going to be something predefined. We are going to use state over here. So I will say use state. Where is that? Use state. Yeah, use state. First we need to import that, then only we will use. So I'll first import that, and then I will write it again. And now we have this bare bone structure which we can use. So I will define a variable called query. Okay, and you can see this is how state works. If you haven't used it before, it's very easy. In the first time you may find it a bit confusing or not very easy to understand, but this is how it works. This is a constant value query, okay, and it only changes when you change it by calling this function. So you cannot do query is equals to something. If you want to change the value of query, you will say set query and then provide the value inside the brackets. Now, how this is useful is, this is actually hooks, right? It's called hooks. So how this works is, when you are updating the value by using this set query, it will make sure to kind of render it in that particular browser as well. So means it's updating the value in the front end as well. Correct. So that's how it works. So we have this query, which is going to be this one. So I'm going to use that query, provide that value is equals to query. Okay. Now, one thing which we have to make sure of, when we are writing something, we need to update that query with this value. So how can we do that? In input, we have this option called on change. Okay. On change, you can say it a property or like maybe argument, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And it will give us this E. And from this, we can say set query. As I said, we are not going to update the query value by saying query is equals to something. We will say set query and then provide the value. So what is the value? We will say E dot target dot value. Okay, so this is the way how we can get the value of the input. Now I can say this input is done. And yeah, so if I'll save that, let's see if we have any problems. Looks like good to me. Okay, it's accepting a value, and there we go. Now what I will do is, rather than using this chicken value again and again, I'm going to change that with this query. So I'll just remove that by this. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Again, just want to clear this. If you have any question at any time, feel free to comment them down below. I'm always available to make sure to help you out. If I'm available, of course. Like if I am available, I will make sure to reply. If I'm not, there are other people watching the video. So yeah, it really helps. I have seen this work on different videos. So yeah, feel free to at least comment the problem, and yeah, we will help you find the solution to it. So moving on, we need this downside, not at the side. So this is what flex does. Because I'm using display flex, it is arranging the elements in this horizontal lane. I don't want that. So how can I change that? Well, you just have to say flex direction and make that to be column. Once you will do that, you can change. You can see it has changed now. What I need to do now is I need one more input, but this time the input is not going to be to accept a text, but rather to submit it. It's kind of a button, right? But a input button. So I'll say the type of this is going to be a submit. So I'll say submit. Okay, what do I want to submit then? Well, it will have a value that is called search, search. There we go. So we have the search button. You can see it looks something like this. We want to make sure it looks something like that. We will do that. Don't worry. It's just going to be quick. Don't worry. So now what we need? Well, we have this. We also want the drop down, right? Now, drop down is a bit of an interesting one. I think we should implement it in the end. So let's move on to styling this. This looks not very good right now. So I'm going to move on and provide the styling. I will go inside the app.css, and over there I will add a padding to it. So I can see this food recipe plaza exactly at the top. I want a little bit of a padding from above and from all these sides. So I'm going to provide the padding of 40 pixel from top and bottom. Just a second. 40 pixel from top and bottom and 24 pixel from left and right. So I'll save that, and you can see it's arranged perfectly now. Moving on, we have this search form. So I'm just going to use that, and let's provide some styling to it. I'm going to say margin top because I can see this food recipe is just above this. I want a little bit of a space between these two. So I'll say margin top, and I will provide that to be around 18 pixel. Okay, once I'll do that, you can see we have some space available. Now, I need to provide the some class name to this input so that I can give it a style. So I'll say class name, and the class name is going to be app, and then let's just call it input, right? Because this is going to be a single input in this screen. So I think the naming convention works. I can just say app input. And now what I will do is I will provide it a little bit of a padding because I think it looks quite kind of, shrink. I want it to have a little bit of space. So I'll say 6 pixel over here and 16 pixel. So this is from top and bottom. This is from left and right. So once I will save that, you can see this is how it looks like. Now I will set a minimum width, so that we can make sure we have not too kind of less width. Yeah, I think now that it looks much better. And I also don't want that if you're browsing it through the mobile with a very small screen size to just go out of the screen, right? That does not look good. So I'm just going to say max width, 100 viewport width. So this thing is actually something which we can work on. I haven't worked a lot on the responsiveness of this app, and we don't have too much time to spend on that, but we will try to do as much as we can. But of course, at the end, if you find something which is not looking at best in different orientation or in different screen sizes, you can of course work on it, and yeah, you can let us know in the comments. So I will update that in the GitHub as well. Now, moving on, we have maximum width defined. Now I think the font size can be improved as well. So I'll say font size, and I will give that to be 15 pixel. Now, this font and this font does not look same. You can see this is actually a custom font, and we are getting that from Google Fonts. So I'm just going to go to Google Fonts, and I'm just going to open the first URL. Over here, I'm going to use this quite popular one, which is called, okay, seriously, Indian, I don't know. Yeah, so I'll move on. I'll use these two. So the first one is, what is happening? I need a little bit more space. Yeah, so I need this medium 500 and I need this regular 400. Once I have added them, I can just click on import because I'll be importing them inside the CSS file. So I'll copy that. I'm not copying the style because you need to add this if you're using this inside HTML file, but I will be directly using it inside the CSS file. That's why I'm copying it without that. Now I can paste it here, and I want to use this font family. So I'm not going to paste it here actually. I am going to paste it inside this index.css. So over here, I'll just go at the top and paste this font file. Now I'll provide this font as the first primary font, but rather than making the secondary font to be sans serif, I will have all of these. So how this will work is, until unless this font is not loaded from the web, it will show my Apple system font. Accordingly, if you have a Mac, it will show, like if you have a Windows, it will show like that. So these are all the different Roboto options, something like that. So your device might have others already. I don't know. I don't think sans serif looks that much good. It's just a personal preference, however you want. Okay, so now we have the font. Moving on. What do we need? We need to design the search button. So how can we design something? We need to first provide a class to it. So I'll say class name is equals to app. This is just the starting thing. And then this is a submit button. So I'm just going to make it a class name of app submit. Moving on over here, I'll say app submit. And over here, we will provide, first of all, a padding. I don't think it looks good to have a very small button like this and a very big input like that. So I'm going to make sure to, so that this and this looks good or equal in height. So we are going to provide a padding of 6 pixel and 16 pixel. So this is from top and bottom. This is from left and right. I'm going to save that, and you can see we have something which looks good, right? Yeah, now let's move on. We will provide the font size to be 15 pixel. We will provide margin left because I want a little bit of space between the button and the input. So I'll say margin left, and I'll provide that around 6 pixel. Okay, so far it does not look exactly, but I think it's quite close. Now we need to provide some color. So I have this color code which I am using over here. I'll use the same color code. So first we will provide the background color as blue. So I'll say background color, provide that as blue. Okay, now you can see we have this black color border which I don't like. So I'm just going to say border 2 pixel solid and the same color. So this will make sure it looks the same, right? Now I want to provide it a border radius of around 4 pixels. So I'll provide that. I'll say border radius of 4 pixel. Okay, once I'll do that, then I'll make sure to provide a white color to it. So I want the search to be looking white. So all you need to do is say color and then say white. Once you will do that, we will have this button. Looks good. Now we want all the different recipes visible over here. And we don't want that to be happening when we click on this, but rather when we click on search. So let's change that quick. So what we were doing is on the click of this, we were calling this function get recipes. Now we will change that this will happen when we will click on submit. So on submit, what we will do, we will call the same function, but we need to make sure we are not refreshing the page, because in this submit button, how this works is if I will click on this, you can see the page reloaded. I don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and create a quick function called constant submit. And this is going to be called whenever we will click on the submit button. Now, this will accept a value and we will say prevent default. So how this helps is it is going to prevent the default action, which is this reloading. We don't want that. And then it will just call this function. So this is what the submit will do. So what do I want? Well, I want whenever we will submit this form. So whenever you have a form and you have a button inside or an input with a type of submit inside of it, whenever you will click on that submit button, this form is submitted, right? So this on submit function or argument in this form is going to be called. So I'm going to say on submit like that. So I can name this on submit, I guess that will be better. Okay, so let's see if this works. So what should happen is whenever I will enter a value over here, I will enter, for example, Apple. If I will click on this search, I should be able to see recipes with Apple as an ingredient over in the console. So let's see if that works. Okay, so you can see we were able to do that. I clicked on it twice, so that's why it's showing it twice. And of course, it does not reloaded the screen, which is because of this prevent default. Okay, so what's next? Now we need to show that. Okay, so how can we show that? Well, what I will do is I'll move on over here and I'll create a new file. I'll call it something like recipe tile. So tile is nothing but basically an element of a grid or a list item. That's how I give names to stuff. And I'm going to create a new file called it recipe tile again. And this is going to be the CSS file for it. Okay, so now I'm going to use an extension of VS Code, which is called Es7 Snippets. So I think this is the one. Yeah, so this is the one snippets one. So what it is used for is now I can write RFC and it will create this bare bone structure for a React component. Okay, and this is a functional component, by the way. If you don't understand the difference, what a functional and class component is, it is a bit descriptive. But overall, this is a functional component which we are using right now. Okay, and you can create that by just writing RFC. You don't have to write it all from scratch. So that is the use of Es7. Now, what do I need more over here? I need to first start by providing it a class name. I'm going to call it recipe tile, and inside of that I'll have a p, and it's going to say recipe name. I'm just having a like kind of, what do we say, dummy text, right? Whatever. Now we need to show this every time we have an element. So for example, we have 10 recipes, we should show this recipe tile 10 times. So let's move on. Just below this form, I'm going to create a div, and inside of that I will say, where is, I need to save this recipe somewhere, right? I'm just printing it out. I need to save that. So I will use the hooks again. Why am I using hooks? Why I am not saving it directly in a simple variable? Because if I will save it in a simple variable, whenever I will update the value in the variable, nothing changes in the front end, which is something which is visible to the user. User does not know what is the value of an actual variable. User only know what is visible on the screen. So that's why we use hooks. So because in hooks, whenever we update the value, it's instantly updated for the user, so that user will be able to see that, right? There is a change. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to go ahead, create a use state. I'll just say use state, and we will have that bare bone structure. I will just call it recipes, and we have this set recipes available for us. The default value for this is going to be like this. Now, whenever we will get this value, I will just set recipes, and I'll set it nothing but this, copy, and that. I don't actually need these values of count, from, to. So what I will do, I just will get this values inside the hits, because that is an array, and that is exactly what a recipe is. Recipes is an array of recipe. Okay, so we just need that. So I'm just going to say data.hits. Once I will do that, I'll just save on that, and I'll use this recipes to print out all of these. Print out, I don't know that sounds, but yeah, recipes.map, and I'll go ahead inside that, I'll say recipe. So what am I doing with map? So map is basically, what it is going to do is, within this array, it is going to go through each and every recipe, or you can say an element of the map of the array, one at a time. So it will go to 1, then go to 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, it will start from 0. So yeah, anyhow. Now, what I will do now is, I'll say like this. Okay, now I can use this recipe. So first, let me just show you without using that recipe tile. We can say recipe, and this is the recipe. Okay, this the value inside this 0 is this recipe. So in this recipe, we need to go one more inside, which is inside this recipe. So I'll say recipe, then recipe. Now you may be asking, Sanskar, why did you make it like this, bracket and that? So the reason for that is, there is something called map. Okay, and what a map is, it's nothing but a key value pair. So over here, when you will see this particular recipe, this is actually a key, and this whole array is actually a value. Okay, key value pair. So, and this 0 is actually a map. Now what do we want is, we want the value of this recipe. That's why I provided that key. Now through the key, I can get the value of it. Now I don't want this all of that. I just want a simple thing. Let's start with, let's say label. So now this recipe itself actually have a key value pairs, right? So this whole is a map. And if you want some value from the map, what do? We define the brackets, provide the name of the key. So it is going to be label, and we will have the value. Now, whenever you are doing this map, you need to make sure you are typing return. Let's give this a try now. I'm going to call mango, and I'm going to say search. Okay, you can see we have all the different stuff. Okay, now I'm not going to kind of make all of the things here. I'm going to rather take it inside the recipe tile and accept the recipes, this one recipe over here. So this is, I'm accepting this value as a prop. So now I need to just say recipe tile over here, recipe tile. So I have imported that, and I will provide this value. Okay, I'll say recipe is equals to recipe. Now this recipe is actually this one, what I have defined, and this one is actually this one, right? So this is the value which we are accepting, and this is the value which we are providing to recipe tile. If you have done so far, just take a break, take a deep breath. Okay, now let's move on. So what do we need to do next is we need to, what do we need? Well, we need the images, right? Images looks good. So I need to first type it out. I'm going to say mango, and I need this image. So how can I get this image? I'm just going to go ahead inside of this, and I'm just going to say, just a second, let me just, yeah. So I'm just going to say image, and the source of that image is going to be this URL. I hope this console is visible to you. Inside here, you can see we have this URL. Okay, this is the URL, and I want the image. So this is the image URL. So that is exactly what I want and what is going to be used to show this image. So how can we get that? It's very easy. It's very same how we got this value of the label. So I'll say source is equals to recipe. We will go inside the recipe. We are inside the recipe, and we want the value of image. So I'll say image. Is it easy or not? Okay, it is, right? So now once we have that, what I will do is I will just close this, and now we can see we have images. Now I want to design it. I want to give it some good looking vibes. It's not looking very good right now. So how can I do that? Well, it's first we need to give it a name. So I'm going to say class name, and let's give it a name of recipe tile. That's how we do recipe tile underscore underscore, and let's just say image. Also, let's give it a name to this one. I'll say again, similarly, in similar fashion, yeah, if that's the thing, recipe tile, and let's just call it a name. Okay, looks, yeah, there is nothing changed in the look, but we are just providing the names to the elements. Now we can style them. Before I write anything over here, let me just import the style. So I'll say slash. What do we need? We need recipe. Okay, it's not working like that. Recipe tile.css. So sometimes if it's not giving you suggestion, okay, it's saying in the source. Am I doing something wrong? Let me just make sure of that. Tile. Do I need to have slash? Dot slash. Okay, let me just refresh it, guys. Okay, I think I need to reload this. Go to the terminal, and I need to start this again. So I'm just going to close that up, and I'm going to say npm start again. And then what I will do is I will enter. Yes, I want it to be working on 3001, and yeah, it's working. So let's import that again, and let's see if that is still a problem. No, it is a problem. Is it still a problem? I don't think so. Okay, so now it's working fine. Let's move on and provide the values to these different images. So for image styling, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a square image, right? So I'm going to give it a height. It is going to be 200 pixel. The width is going to be 200 pixel, 200 pixels. Now, let me just make sure we have something while we are dressing. When you are dressing, you like to have a mirror in front of you. That's exactly kind of what we are doing. Yeah, so we have this now. So we can see we have provided 200. It looks good, right? Now in some images it may not look very good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one very important thing, which is object fit, and I'm going to provide that property as cover, so that we can make sure if some image is less than that height and stuff, it is going to take that space. Okay, so what is next? We are going to provide a little bit of a border radius, because that's kind of the style of our application. You can see we have border in this, border in that. So why not in the image? So we are going to keep the border radius same, which is 4 pixel. And that looks good. Okay, so what do we need next? We have provided styling to the image, but let's move on and provide that to the name. So I'll copy that name, and then I'll say dot name. And in that name, I will first say max width is equals to 200 pixel. Why? What is the reason for that? Well, the reason for that is because I know I'm going to align them in a grid. And in the grid, if it is kind of like getting out of it, it does not look good. So that's why I want to make sure the text is only taking the space of the width of the image, which is like 200 pixel. Now I don't want it in the left or right, I want it in the center. So I'll say text align, and I provide that to be center. So now you can see it's in the center. I don't like it's just stuck with the next one, so I'm just going to provide it a bit of a margin. So I'm going to say margin 12 pixel from top and bottom. I don't need anything from left and right, so I'm good with 0. So this is how it looks like right now. One thing which you can notice is this mango salsa. I think this is the one. Yeah, so mango salsa. This does not have an image, and the reason for that is for some reason this API is providing an SVG image, so it's not loading. So what can I do for that? Well, I am going to just go inside the recipe tile, and I will make sure that I will only show an image if it is either JPEG, JPG, GIF, or PNG. Now, how can we do that? Well, it's quite easy. You just need to wrap this with these two brackets. Actually, we don't even need to do that. Let me just get rid of that. What we will do is we will get this image and we will check dot match, match, we will match with a regex. Okay, so what is regex? Regex is a regular expression which can be used to kind of, you can search for it. But basically this is the regular expression which we are going to use. It is going to check if this particular recipe image contains JPEG, JPG, GIF, or PNG. If it does, then it's okay and all. We will say it's not equals to null, which means if it contains that, then it's good. Then only we will show this. Okay, so if some reason this image does not contain any of these, then we will not show this. That is the reason of end. Okay, that's how and works. So you can see now we don't have that image. We have mango salsa, by the way. I think it was just because they have an extra document, I don't know. Anyhow, now you can see we have the images perfect. Now we want this to be in kind of a grid manner, not like that. So let's see how we can do that. So for grid, we have to go to this div which we provided, which is surrounding these particular all the recipes. So I'll say class, and it will start with app. This is for sure, and it is recipes. So yeah, let's just give it name of recipes. So I'll say app recipes. Now let's provide it styling. So I will go in this app.css and I'll say app recipes, and we need to provide it some styling. We will be using a grid over here. Okay, so I'll say display grid. It will not have much impact, you can see initially. First, let's just give it a margin top as well, right? It does not look very good with that. So I'll say margin top around 24 pixel. I'll provide that. So yeah, now it's fine. Now I will provide the grid template columns to be 230 pixel and 230 pixel. So now you can see it looks much better. Okay, yes. Now what do we need? We need one more thing. In some cases, what was happening is these two elements were not aligned perfectly if they have different count of lines. So for example, if this was 2 lines and this was single line, this was going down, right? It was not in the same. So for that, what I did is I just provided it align items baseline. So this will make sure they are starting from the same point. And so far it looks good, right? For example, if I will search for Apple. Okay, yeah, this is the thing. We want this cursor to be kind of clickable one. So I'm just going to go, where is my button? Where is my submit button? There we go. I need to change few stuff here. I'm just going to provide it a hover, property, cursor, pointer, cursor. Okay, where is it? Cursor, pointer. Okay, so this is just basically, now this is changing. What I want is when I'm above it, I don't want the background to be like this. I want the background color to be white. The border will be of this color, but the color of the text is going to be of this color as well. So yeah, that's kind of the style I'm going for. So yeah, I think it looks good. Okay, so what do I need next? I need that this drop down. So drop down is kind of not too tricky to create. All you need to do is where is my input? I need to say select. Okay, select, and then inside of that I'll say class name. I'm going to provide it the class name from start. I'm just going to say app. underscore, it is health label. So basically all of these different values, if you go to the API documentation, where is the documentation? Oh my God. Just a second, guys. Let me show you why I have given or why I have done something. Let me go to the recipe search API again. Okay, so in this URL, I hope you remember, we have these vegan and other options. All of those are actually health labels. So you can see health labels. So that's why I'm going to name this selection of all of these drop down to be app health labels. You can give it any names. Again, it's not a very important thing, but yeah. So we have option. So this is going to be a single option of that drop down value, right? So I'm going to provide it on click. So on click, I want to update that. So as I said before, I'm going to make this variable kind of a hook actually. So I'll say use state, and this one is going to be called, what should I call it? Let's call it health label, HEALTH LABEL. We can make that capital. Anyhow, the initial value for this, I'm just going to give that a vegan. So I'm just going to do that. And rather than alcohol free, we can now use this variable. So what I will do is whenever we will make any selection inside of this drop down, I will update the value of this health label. So next time when we will be getting the recipes, we will get according to what is selected. If that all makes sense, let me know in the comments. I think I'm going a bit fast, but I just respect your time, and that's the whole reason why I was being a bit fast, but trying to explain as much as I can. So, okay, moving on. Now, what I would like to do is I will say set health label, and I will just say that to be vegan. Vegan. Okay, so this is the first option actually. I'm just going to do that, and we will just write vegan. There we go. So if I go in there, you can see we have that option available. I am going to copy that. Now these are a lot of options. I'm not going to write them one by one. So I'm just going to copy all the options from the last project which I have. But there is nothing which I haven't done in this one. I'm just going to paste all of that. There we go. There's too much to see, but you can see the only thing which I missed was this value. But I think it's not going to make much of a difference. I'm just going to get rid of the value. Okay, I think I named it differently this time. Just add health labels. Okay, so now you can see we have a long list, and this value is not something which is required, I think. Yeah, so we can actually get rid of that if you like. I think it's just increasing a lot of space taking, whatever. I'm going to get rid of that quick. Done. Okay, we have all these values now. I need to style this, so let's get started. I need to just copy this, and then I'll move on to the CSS file, and I'll say, what do I need? First thing first, padding. It looks a lot kind of shrinked, so I'm just going to say 7 pixel and 8 pixel. Then I'll say margin left. Why am I providing margin left? Well, we want a little bit of a space, it's like too much close. We will say 6 pixel, and then we will say, what do we need next? We need a little bit of a border radius. It's very sharp, we should not be around sharp edges stuff, whatever. So we can now select different stuff, and we can make a query according to that. So I can say apple, and I can search according to being a vegetarian. So supposedly, I think nothing over here is non-veg. If I say gluten-free and search again, maybe tree nut free, I don't know. Dairy free. Is there any change? I don't know. So let me just see if that matters. Matter. Maybe they have the same thing, but overall I think it's clear. Whenever I'm just selecting any of that, it's updating the value of that. So let me just see that in the inspect console, remove all of that. I'm going to click on search. Okay, so I have crossed the limit. That's why it's not changing. So yeah, this API is not actually free for unlimited, of course. So we have a lot of them. So I'm just going to go to the another one, copy the application ID, copy the application key, go again, reload the application, call it mango, choose low sugar, and these are the low sugar ones. So let me see if low sugar is being added here somewhere. Not sure if they kind of, okay, so it is mentioned diet labels as low fat, but health labels as vegan, peanut free. Okay, so this contains it is actually, it's not actually low sugar, right? It is not over here. Okay, so what is happening? Okay, we are using two and that may be the issue. Let's reload this again, call it apple, and I'm going to use this time tree nut free. So I'm going to click on search. If I go inside of that hits and I click on any of the recipes and I click on the diet labels, no, health labels, we have tree nut free. Okay, so it's working fine now, guys. So yeah, there is our application. Now let me show you how to deploy it to Firebase. First thing first, we will just create a production build of our application. So click on this plus and type npm run build, done. Then it will do that. I'm going to select any of the account. I have too many. I hope I have a free project left. I just have filled them with project. Okay, so you can see what has it done? I think it has created a public folder. Yeah, so you can see our content is ready. Ready. Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's in the build. Sorry. So we will do that. So we have a lot of projects. Let me see if I can create one more. I'll call this recipe app React.Js. Remove that, create the project. Okay. You can also have a drink, sip of water. You're not speaking like me, but we should be hydrated. Anyhow, okay, it's done. Now we will click on continue. Over here, all you need to do is first thing first, I will log out. I am going to be Firebase log out. I'm already logged in with another of my account. So I'll say Firebase log out, log in now. And then I will hit enter. So now I'll click on what we have. I think we are in the Flutter Nerd. Am I correct or not? Yes, I am. So it's done. Now what I need to do, I just need to go to the hosting section of it. Click on get started. You need to run this command if you haven't done it before. I have already done that. It will take a lot of time to update, so I'm not going to do that again. But it's done one time, trust me. So I have already logged in. I need to now run this Firebase init. Okay. So I'll say Firebase init. Let me get rid of that. Now over here you have to just over here you just have to select hosting, then press the space bar and then click on enter. So then hit use existing project. We have already created that before. And the directory is going to be build actually. That's where we have our code. So I'm going to say build. Rewrite no. Then the final step is to deploy. So I'll say Firebase deploy. And ta-da! Just give it a second and your website will be live for people to give it a try. So first thing first, what I will ask you, yeah, I haven't asked too much, right? I just asked you to like the video. So second thing, you need to just comment what you learned in this video. If you do learn, please make sure to share that because it really motivate a lot, to create more and more content for you. So That's our application. It's live on the web. I'm going to type mango. I am vegan, and I'm going to click on search. And there we go. I need to, oh my God, I missed a function. We need to add that function that if we will click on any of these, it should send us to that URL. How can I miss that? Okay, so for that, we just need to go in here and I'll say on click, what do we need to do? We need to open a URL. So we will just say, this is how we create a function, by the way, guys. Okay. Function inside of a function inside of these brackets. So over here, I'll say window dot open, and there is a console over here. Let me just go to the inspect console. Where is that? So we need to open up this URL, which is called URL as well. So I'm just going to copy this recipe image, and I'll just provide that as a URL over here. So let me go to my local version, and I'm going to say mango. Yeah, vegan is fine. Search for it, and if I click on it, it works. I need to make sure this cursor is, oh my God, I left a lot of stuff, huh? So I need to go just to the top, dot cursor pointer. Is anything left? You can do a lot of stuff, like for example, increasing the space, adding some animation and stuff. But yeah, I think we can conclude it. Now to update that, it's as easy as you. So before we deploy, we need to first npm run build, because we need to build that again before we can deploy. So I'm just going to do that quick. And then I'm going to deploy. Okay, so we have finally completed the project. If you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. If you like the video, make sure to hit that like button. If you want more like content like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I have created different application with React as well, like social media application and more. So make sure to check out the channel for other videos. And till then, have a good day.